Hello, I wanted to spend some time today looking at, I'm sorry, I wanted to look at charting from Hebrews. Let me share the screen here. And so we're going to be looking at Hebrews chapters 1 and 2 and how to chart that. It seemed like lots of people had trouble from the homework on how to do this, so I wanted to work through it together. So here is your homework. So the first thing you want to do when you look at this, this was very confusing to people. I just put these in to show you where you put the verses. This is not how Hebrews is broken up. And so you want to read through Hebrews chapter 1 and 2 and see how you break up the paragraphs. So you're looking for topics. Each paragraph is one topic. And so as you read through, you see verses 1 to 3 is all about Jesus speaking and the prophets. So it's about hearing from God. And so we might put 1 to 3 is about, and then the topic is Jesus' communication. Is better than the prophets. But after we study this, and in English, that looks very good, and we read in the commentaries, we realize that verses 1 to 4 in Greek are all the same sentence, which is why here in NIV, they have 1 to 4 all together. And so you want to follow the grammatical structure. And so if that's all one sentence, you don't want to chop it up. The author intended that all to be together. So 1 to 4 would be Jesus' communication is better than the prophets. So the next section would start with verse 5 then, and you read through 5 and you keep going, and all the way to the end through verse 14 is all about the angels and how Jesus is better than the angels. And so that would be your topic there. And you'll notice this is 6 words, this is 7 words. We're going for 5 words, but maybe we should change that to 7 words or 10 words because it's close enough. We just don't want long descriptions. We want short titles. You could say better than the prophets, better than the angels, like Jesus is, to get it shorter, but I think this is great. Okay, and then we're into chapter 2. And so as we're reading in chapter 2, we see there's a warning, and that warning goes from verses 1 to 4. And so that's why I put in 1 to 4. And so we have a warning. And so what's he warning them? Don't drift from Jesus' better message, right? And so his message was better than the message given by the angels. And if God judged them for drifting from the message the angels gave, the Old Testament law, then wouldn't God judge us from drifting from the better message? Is the argument he's making. So we don't want to do that. Now there's still more. We don't have enough. So we want to insert a column to the right. I just right-clicked there to do that. And then now we're at verse 5, and we want to use all the verses. Notice every verse is used. Don't skip any verses. And so we'll start reading in verse 5 and looking for the common topic. And as we read through that, we'll see really the same topic goes to the end. And it is that the Father exalted I can't talk and type at the same time. The Father exalted Jesus because of Jesus' humiliation. But I don't like how that sounds. So maybe we'll just say because Jesus humbled himself. And so because Jesus humbled himself to die for mankind and pay for their sins, the Father exalted him. And so that would be the topic of 5 to 18. Now, we have each paragraph now. We have 4 different topics in chapters 1 and 2. But is there a main topic that links all of these together? And so we would ask ourselves, well, we could divide it up and say Jesus is better than the prophets and do 1 to 4, and then 1, 5 to 18, Jesus is better than the angels. And that would work just fine. But is there if we did that, we would still need another topic that would link one to all of this, because you need one topic that covers everything. And so what's the topic that connects chapters 1 and 2? So this would be 1:1 through 2:18. And so what is that main topic? Well, we've been saying Jesus is better, don't do better. And I kept using that word better to connect and tie everything together. And so we'll say Jesus is better than the prophets and the angels. And so if we read through all of chapter 1 and 2, then it all fits that Jesus is better than the prophets and the angels. And this works really well because as we go through Hebrews, we'll see the author will continue to argue that Jesus is better than Moses and Jesus is better. And he keeps laying out how Jesus is better than these other Old Testament systems they had in place. And so this is how you do a chart. Now, as we look at this chart, notice that we have lots of information, all the information's from chapter 1 and 2 summarized really short. So I can look at your chart and see how you understand the passage, how you see the different topics, how you see them fitting together, and how you understand the main message. This is so helpful for me in Bible study because I can take very complicated, large sections of scripture and understand here's what the author is trying to communicate. He's trying to communicate 4 things in chapter 1 and 2, 4 main things, which is all tied together under one main theme. Jesus is better than the prophets and the angels. And so that just keeps it really clear. So if you're preaching here or teaching, you're going to be talking about how Jesus' communication is better than the prophets, or you should be, or you're not in that passage. You're talking about something different. If you're in 5 to 14, any of those verses there, you're going to be tying that into the theme that Jesus is better than the angels. And so putting together a chart just helps you to really get it clear in your mind what the passage is talking about, and should be a real blessing to you as you do Bible study. So hopefully this helps you in your future assignments.